Thinking about self-publishing and don't know where to start? Join the Spy Girls each week for an info-packed podcast filled with honest advice, tips and resources. I'm Trudy J.
I'm Shah Barrett.
I'm Cheryl Phipps.
And I'm Wendy Valla.
And today we have an awesome guest. We've got Morgana Best. Yay!
Yay! That
Welcome
rhymed.
back.
I know,
Nicely.
I'm a poet.
You are, and didn't know it.
Welcome, Morgana. Now, Cheryl's
Hi.
going to do your bio so everyone knows who you are and why you're so awesome. And then we're going to get straight into interviewing you about setting up your own shop or store on your author website or wherever. I don't know. I'm going to leave it to you to tell me and explain how that works. I'm not sure. But over to you, Cheryl.
Okay, so USA Today best-selling author of more than 50 books, Morgana Best writes cozy mysteries featuring witches, psychics, ghosts, mermaids, and anything else that tickles her imagination. Her books have landed consistently in the top 10 spots on Amazon and are beloved by readers in over 70 countries. I'm just going to read out your other bit of the bio, which I always find hilarious. Morgana was born and raised in a tropical paradise, Australia. Keen to escape from the hot weather, deadly snakes, and dangerous spiders, Morgana stays in her office where she writes cozy mysteries packed to the brim with compelling plots, quirky characters, and a furry friend or two.
Great bio.
She has a very interesting life, does Morgana, don't you?
With snakes, yes.
Yes. Oh, I don't want to hear the stories.
No.
No, me either.
So Morgana's kindly come to the podcast today to talk to us about direct selling. And we're going to go right to the beginning of this because I'm sure there's other listeners out there and myself not so long ago who had no idea about this. So let's talk about what you mean by having a store.
A shop, basically, selling your books direct to the public. That can be on a storefront like Shopify or even WooCommerce, or it can just be a buy button on your website, directing people to your products. It depends where you want to go with it and where you're at this time.
And what made you decide to open a store or a shop?
Look, it was nearly 30 years ago that I actually started selling direct. I random house solicited my doctoral thesis to turn it into a popular book, and it went backwards and forwards for months, and eventually it fell through, but it was so stressful and time consuming. I thought I'll do this myself. So I had a run of 1,000, a offset run, not a digital run. And this was 1993. I did that myself, and then I sold it myself. And even though the internet was technically in Australia in 1993, I mean, Australia's not known for being on the cutting edge of internet. And I didn't have a website back in those days. And then 10 years later, in 2003, my town was still on dial-up, but I had websites then and I sold directly. Of course, this was print, but prior to that, I had sold ebooks directly on eBay back when they allowed digital products, and I'd also sold through ClickBank. And so I did that for years, just with the ebooks, and then I did the print books. And then fast forward to 2007, when Kindle came in, I went, of course, on Amazon. And then I was shocked because I was used to keeping all the money for myself. I was used to getting paid immediately. And now we had to wait for up to 60 days to be paid. Yeah. And I found that quite difficult. And even fast forward to today, I remember years ago, Amazon ads were only for people in Kindle Unlimited, but then they let anyone have them. Yeah. But now if you do an Amazon ad, of course you pay for that ad. You send someone to your product page. What's on your product page? Your book, 40 other books, and you're paying to drive the traffic there. Wow. And you're subsidizing Amazon. Not that they need it, like they're billionaires, but this is probably this is what you're doing. And I like the process of selling direct where I kept most of the, nearly all the money, apart from transaction fees. I was in complete control. I got paid immediately. And when I sent someone, I did run ads, like print ads back then, they wouldn't be shown other products. I mean, if anyone's got an Amazon affiliate account, they'll see what other products people buy. And that's, you're paying for that usually. Not that I've got anything against Amazon. I think they're fantastic and they've enabled lots of us to make a living, but there is another way to do it as well. You can do both at the same time.
Right there. So you're a pioneer, Morgana.
And so having a store, does that only work for wide authors? Or can that be used by those in exclusive, Amazon exclusive?
I'm sorry, Cheryl, I couldn't hear the part after listening carefully.
You all right? You got those on?
I'm having a technical issue. I'm sorry. Hang on. I am prepared for this.
That's good.
Oh, she's moving on to the second set of headphones.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah,
We love technology.
we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite an interesting concept, isn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, all of us have a real issue with the fact that we're doling out a lot of money to these people that put our
Yes.
profit.
But it's
you
almost
know.
like going full circle though, isn't it? From
Yeah.
the early printing press days where you sold your own stuff to sort of, it's like it's gone
exactly.
full circle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to all of us.
Yeah.
It's just how the logistics of it would work.
Yeah.
You know? And you've been trying it too, Cheryl, haven't you?
I have not really putting my all into it just yet, because I've had a couple of releases this year already, and it was time consuming setting it up. But we're going
So
to
you
talk
opened
about
like
that a little bit later.
Yeah, for sure. Is she back with us?
How you
Yeah,
going,
sorry
Morgana?
about that.
Can you hear
No
me?
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're great.
I can now.
Cool,
My ears
lovely.
have kind of closed up with the COVID.
Oh
No.
no. Okay, so the question was, does having a store only work for wide authors?
Absolutely not. Of course, you're only locked in with ebooks that are exclusive, that you do have on Select, but you can sell print.
Yes.
You can sell audiobooks unless they're exclusive with Audible. And if you don't have every single book in your backlist on Select, then you can put those books on as well. And there are some Select authors doing quite well with direct stores.
That's kind of heartening, because with myself, I've got a bit of foot in both camps.
Yes.
and I'm just wondering
Yes.
if it had to be all or nothing, really, to make a living from it.
No.
Okay, so have you seen an increase in sales by having your storefront, bearing in mind that you have sold direct before?
You mean on the store or on the retailers?
Well, overall, like, has there been any impact by having a store? One would say that it would detract from some sales from your other platforms.
No,
No?
it doesn't. No,
Cool.
no. I do quite well with my store, and it doesn't really take sales from the other platforms. And if it does, they're negligible. A lot of people are always concerned about Amazon ranking, and they say, what happens to my Amazon ranking? But if you're a wide author, you don't have a good Amazon ranking anyway, because your sale is competing against a Kindle Select Borrow. So that's not good for your ranking. And if you're in KU, well, it won't matter, because that you can't sell it direct.
Right.
So it's kind of a moot point. But if you're selling enough to impact your Amazon ranking, then you won't care. You'll be happy, because you'll have all that money, you'll have it instantly. You'll be making more than you made on Amazon with that book.
That makes sense.
Okay, so how easy is it to set it up?
Depends which one you use.
Right.
There are lots of options. If people are what I call quite clever, because I'm not very tech savvy, and they've already got a WordPress site, then they can use WooCommerce. A lot of people use PayHip and just have buy buttons on their site. But for $9 American a month, you can have Shopify buttons on your site. Shopify is the store that's used by all the big brands worldwide, like Tesla. I suppose you guys know the Udi because you're New Zealanders, but that's an Aussie brand that he's almost $1 billion. He's heading towards being $1 billionaire with his Shopify stores. There are plenty of big names like Sephora, JB Hi-Fi in Australia.
Yeah.
All the big businesses use Shopify because there's just so much you can do with it.
Okay.
And where do you send it to? Just quickly, like, so you have the buy button on your website. They click buy, and then it goes to Shopify. Is that how it works?
Yes, if you have a buy button, I've actually got a Shopify shop, which is also my website. So I've integrated them. And if someone's starting out and they're concerned with the cost, because to have a store on Shopify, it's $29 US a month. That's always what I had to pay for hosting for myself and my own website and my pen names website. So you can merge them and save your hosting money. And a Shopify store can do everything a website can do. You've got all your policies, privacy, facts, anything you like. You can link to all the retailers. You can add pages. You can do amazing things.
And you can have your newsletter sign up, all the usual things.
Oh, much better than that.
Oh, excellent.
Now, this is where I get really excited. Okay. What you can do, if there is a special, if you're using Shopify, this is, you can also do it with WooCommerce, but they have dedicated email setups. So, for example, it's a different mindset. So, as authors selling on retailers, we are used to lead magnets, but with stores, you use offers. So, you might offer 10%. So, I've got a dual pop-up on my site that only goes to the cozy mystery people. And I think I've just changed it to everyone, but it pops up after and that's another thing too. You can set it when to pop up. You can look at your analytics and see how long it takes for someone to leave your site. And then you can set it 4 seconds before that happens. So when they get to your site, you know how sometimes you go to a site and there's a pop-up in your face and you get cranky. Well, I do anyway, and click out of it and say a few rude words. This way they can be looking for a while. Then the pop-up comes up and says, would you like 10%? And then they put their email in. And I have a dual pop-up and then it says, would you like to leave your phone number? Because you can do SMS marketing as well.
Oh my gosh.
And SMS marketing has much better open rates and conversion rates than email marketing. It absolutely leaves it for dead. And if you want, you can do SMS pop-ups by themselves that collect someone's phone number automatically once they say they want it to happen. And then there's absolutely no chance they'll do a typo, because I'm the queen of typos. I always put my phone number in wrongly and this will just catch it. You can we're all used to welcome flows as authors, but you can do abandoned checkout flows, abandoned cart flows. You can do win-back flows. Now, if someone was buying on a retailer, we'd have no clue if they last bought one of our books 3 months ago. We'd never know in a million years. But with this, you know exactly what they've bought, when they've bought. You can segment them. You can win them back with an offer. You can collect their birthdays. You can do amazing things. Now, if you go to Amazon and have a look what they do, I see now their test, and you can test, A/B test everything as well. They used to have frequently bought together, but now I'm being shown, okay, you've bought book 2 in the series. Would you like to buy books 3, 4, and 5? You can do that on your own website. Or like the last couple of times I've bought an ebook, it comes up, would you like the audio book with this? It's the old, would you like fries with that works so well. You can do that on your store as well. So it opens up a whole new world that people who've only ever sold on the retailers wouldn't even be aware of. But if you think back to your last online shopping experience, think what happened, and you can do that as well.
That's awesome.
Wow,
Which is exciting.
very cool.
It is.
Wow. That is very cool.
So can I just ask one more silly question? So once someone's paid and bought for the book, how do you deliver it to them? How do they get it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it depends. PayHip will immediately deliver the files, and with other forms of storefronts, they have automatic delivery. With Shopify, I use BookFunnel because of the support. I actually had someone email me and said, when I tried to log in, I saw a row of asterisks for my password, something's wrong. And I get things like that all the time. But when you've got BookFunnel, they handle all the support, and they handle it in multiple languages as well if you've got translations. So and BookFunnels will deliver pre-order books as well. It's super easy. All you do is just check one box and change the date, and they automatically deliver your pre-order files. So that's ebooks. They do the same for audiobooks. Now there's print. So for print, lots of people say, I don't want to do print because I don't want to go to the post office. I don't want to have to stock books because the dogs will eat them, something like that. But you don't have to. So with Lulu Direct, it will integrate with any website. And with Lulu Direct,
Just have an earbud issues again.
Sorry.
It's all right.
With Lulu Direct, you simply download the app, set up an account with Lulu. You have your product on Shopify. You simply upload the interior file and the cover file to Lulu Direct, and that's it. So someone goes to your site and orders a paperback or, a print book. All the money goes into your account for the shipping and the book. Then Lulu Direct takes out their cut for the printing and the shipping. So you get that money first, and then they take it out. The customer gets tracking. That's all you ever do. You never see that book. You don't have to do a thing. Now, the drawback is that Lulu Direct it doesn't have 5x8. It has 5.5 by 8.5. So that's a hassle. It takes a long time to upload books. And when you've got to fiddle with it, it only takes a few seconds. It's irritating. But in good news, there's a new it's not a new company, it's a new app, Book Vault. Now, they've done printing for Oxford University Press, so clearly they're a fabulous printer. And they're now in England. They will ship worldwide, but their shipping costs, of course, are international. But the good news is they're looking to expand. So I'm now setting up BookFunnel for books sold within the UK. It's half the price of Lulu for printing. Lulu put up their prices by 20% recently. Lulu Direct, this is, not normal Lulu. And so that's a good alternative. And they will be moving internationally. And they do 5x8. They do any size you want. And they're very reasonable. The same thing happens. You just upload to their site, and then they ship and sell the book. So it's hands off, it's automated, less work for you. You don't have to do a thing after the setup.
So how do you know how much to charge for shipping, Morgana?
Oh, that's the really good question. And that's the good thing. You don't. It's all automatic. So you can do it manually if you want. I don't know why anyone would want to do that, but it's all automatic. So Lulu Direct sets their shipping rates and Book Vault sets their shipping rates, very reasonable rates. Lulu ships all over the world for local rates because they use printers all over the world, and they're excellent quality. So it's all automatic. They set the shipping. It's all hands off. You don't do a thing after the setup, which might take you 6 years, depending how many books you have. It's a long process.
Yeah, but you could offer them in like large print. You could do all kinds of different designs. You could have different covers. Like there's quite a trend these days for some of the spicier romances to be produced with what they call a discrete cover. So instead of, maybe the man chest cover, you've got a beautiful swirly sort of design that you can put on the coffee table, maybe when the in-laws come over, as opposed to the man chest cover. Not that there's anything wrong with man chest covers, but it gives you those options as well. Yeah.
That's right. And also Book Vault does offer hardcovers with foil inserts.
Nice.
So
wow.
very nice. And they're very reasonably priced. In fact, they will do.
Just lost. No,
I will do any size you want. You can do custom sizes.
Okay.
oh, cool. That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
There was a
I've
shipping thing,
seen-
I think that was the one I was finding it tricky to wrap my head around, was kind of the
print.
that's
Yeah.
a scary one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dealing with people.
So
Like
could
dealing
you
with
do
customer
like
support.
you see a lot of people doing like special editions, like maybe a hardback special edition
Yeah.
with a different cover and stuff. So you could do that kind of via your website using the places like Lulu, or was it Book Vault? Is that the right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put the links. I'll find the links and I'll put them in the show notes. But
I
that's
think,
it.
I think
And
she might have frozen
I
there.
think she might have.
Yeah, we might have
Oh,
lost her. But it's quite an interesting, how did you find setting it up, Cheryl?
Well, I'm very, very lucky because Morgana is a friend of mine, and she had a few secrets up her sleeve already. But perhaps it would be a good time to mention now that Morgana's actually written a book, and should be coming up for pre-order very, very soon, and we'll tell you how to do it from woe to go.
That's
So
cool.
I think you'll need to watch that space, and perhaps by the time this goes to air, we might even have a link for you for that.
Is there a course as well, or is that?
She's just putting the final touches to a course on Teachable as well. So, if you like that kind of learning, prefer that kind of learning, that would certainly be a way to go.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if we're going to get her back or not. So
Cheryl, can I just ask
Yeah.
something quickly? Just me asking you a question. So you said before you found it time consuming. Did you find it difficult to set things up? Like, how did it go when you went through the process of it?
I honestly think that if I didn't have Morgana, I would have just, done my head in, really, because there are several things to learn. But, like everything we do in this game, there's a process. And if you follow the process, the easier it is. And Morgana sort of outlined what I needed to do first. And I needed to have, Shopify set up. And once you get Shopify, then you can apply to get the Lulu app put on it. So that you're not going backwards and forwards. The only thing you have to go into Lulu direct is to set up the book, and that will give you all the sizes and all that sort of thing. But in Shopify, that's where you're putting up that's the storefront. So that's where you're putting up the cover of the book and the description, your blurb and things like that. And then the shipping will flow through, because Lulu will tell you how much it's going to be, and that will flow through to the person purchasing it. And a lot of it is intuitive, it's built into the program that, as Morgana was saying, that it has all these other options, but it does things like tell you that you've got some orders there waiting, and when they're processed and when they're fulfilled. So that's really good. And people can contact you. There's ways for them to go into the shop and then find out how to contact you. And I'm particularly interested in how you could put it just onto your website. So what I have now is I have my website, and then I have Shopify, which in essence is another website.
Yeah.
Right. And where the books are sold, and using Lulu Direct for the paperbacks, and going through from Book Funnel for the ebooks,
Right.
And the audio books, the files are just linked to that as well through.
So with Morgana, she's got it just solely on that Shopify. She's paid basically the upgrade. Is that
Yes,
that was my understanding.
yes.
So, and then her domain redirects, if you like, to that separate. That's her site.
That's how I understand it. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
you have to go and have a look at her site if you've ever thought about selling direct, because it's absolutely beautiful. I think you've had a look at it, Michelle.
Yeah, morganabest.com, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's a beautiful site.
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's very well set up with the different kinds of books, you know, because you have one book, you have it in different formats, you know, and I mean, she's got translations in that as well. So yeah, it's certainly a spectacle.
I think this is the way of the future. I really do. I think that there's, you know, again, this is not a diss on Amazon or any of the other retailers, but you know, with giant companies come glitches, you know, like it happens in every industry, and book selling is not excluded from that. And I think there is a lot of comfort, I think, in having a little bit more control over how your products are sold and what you're getting from them. I mean, the payoff, of course, is the additional putting in the structure, if you like, isn't it? You know, and maybe in the future, it's people, this is how they start rather than where they end up, kind of thing, you know.
I think you're right. I think it is a sense of evolution. And we self-publish because we like the control, we want the control, and this is just that step further, isn't it, Morgana?
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree completely. Definitely.
Yeah.
And you can do. Sorry.
I was just going to say, so we've had this conversation about how great your site looks, and the fact that it is. It's not only your shop, it's your website, it's your everything, isn't it? It's your portal.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah. Yes, yes, and you can do so much with a shop. It's like expand. It's hard to expand one's thinking when someone's been used to retailers for years, but there's so much you can do with a shop. I was telling someone the other day, influencer marketing is a big thing. Most retail authors aren't used to SMS marketing or influencer marketing. And there's absolutely so much you can do with the store and reach more people. And because of COVID, even more people are now happy to buy online.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's changed shopping habits permanently now.
Might be your first stop now rather than, you know, a last resort.
Especially for your favourite author, you know, if you've got an author that you know and love, then you go to their website and go direct to them rather than sort of browsing somewhere like Amazon. So I'm curious, what kind of marketing do you do, Morgana? Like, how do you market directly to your website?
Yes, and you can do lots of free things as well, like YouTube. I think it was about a week ago, Shopify announced a partnership with YouTube. So now if you guys had like a joint book, you could sell it directly from this. Creators can sell directly. Also, Facebook, Google, Pinterest, TikTok, Twitter, any social media, you can have free shoppable tags. Someone can buy without having to leave, and that's all for free. You just integrate the social media with Shopify or with your store if it has those capabilities. And another good thing is most authors are used to traffic ads on Facebook, but with Shopify, you can do all sorts of amazing ads like conversion ads, and you can even automate it to, a lot of people say to me, well, I've been doing Facebook ads for years, but I really don't like them. But you can do dynamic product ads with Facebook and Shopify. So that will, say if Fred Blogs comes and buys a certain book from your shop, Facebook will not show Fred Blogs an ad for that book. But if Fred Blogs has bought most of the books in a series, Facebook will show this person the other books in the series. It's all completely automated, and it's a very clever thing to do. And so with Facebook, you can run conversion ads to a product. You can retarget people easily. There are so many more options open to you for targeting people with a store.
Wow, that's awesome.
Do you have a favorite marketing tool that you use?
I'd say Facebook, the Facebook ads. I found, of course, with the whole Apple debacle, Facebook for the retailers did drop off quite a lot. But because you have the Pixel with Shopify running the conversion ads, you really have laser focused targeting, and therefore you have much better conversion. And of course, retargeting, they're already your customer, so you can retarget. You can also run traffic ads at first to get more people and to collect more analytics, but then let Facebook. It works so well with Shopify. To me, it seems to work much better than running ads with the retailers. And I like influencer marketing as well.
So what do you do for influencer marketing then? What do you?
Well, what you can do, obviously you can just contact someone directly, or you can, there's an app on Shopify called Dovetail, which is a Shopify own app. They bought it, I think it was April of this year. But it's more of a research tool. But then there's a website called Shoutcart where you can go, and the free plan has 3 free unlocks, and you can go and see if someone fits your genre. So there are a lot of bookstagrammers and book talkers out there. You might have to sort of think outside the square. So if you write cozy mysteries with a lot of cats, you might contact someone who has a cat Instagram account or something like that, because it's hard to find people in your own genre at this point unless you find them directly. And then you just pay them to give you a shout out, or some of them will create a video for you. Some will do permanent posts, some will do reels. You've got a choice. And I really believe it's the new way to go, advertising in socials.
Yeah,
it's that seamless sort of fitting together of things, isn't it? Really, it's sort of it's
So I'm assuming you pay them. Is there a kind of a standard rate, or is it just they get paid more if they've got a bigger audience, or is it, how does it work?
This is the interesting thing. Everyone assumes, like my daughter's obsessed with Love Island, and she was telling me one of her favourites now has over 1 million followers. And you'd intuitively think, okay, that would be a great person, but usually they're the worst. Celebrities are the worst. Now, micro-influencers who only have under 10,000 followers usually have really high engagement rates, and their followers don't expect to be sold to. And so they're often very good, and they're the cheapest because they haven't got many followers.
Yeah.
They're excellent. So yeah, there's sort of quite an art to it. There's a whole study on influencer marketing, but it's really fascinating, and you can get some quite reasonable prices. And on Shoutcart, it tells you up front how much they want for a shout out, whether you provide the video or they do the video, all the prices. You can select whichever you want and just click pay.
Okay. That's awesome.
I love that there's all these developing apps to sort of support this, isn't it? It's the old story. The help comes after a while. Once it, look what we've got now as authors compared to what we had 10, 15 years ago. Sure. It's incredible.
Yeah, I know.
Did you say to us before that you weren't that tech savvy, Morgana?
Because I don't
did I imagine that conversation? Because I feel like you're way more tech savvy.
I nearly said something.
Than you give yourself credit for. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't do spreadsheets. I have a panic just looking at one. So that makes me feel I'm not techie. I'm terrified of spreadsheets for some reason. They scare me.
Yeah, you don't need them.
But not running your own shop.
Yes.
Only irony.
In a different way.
So how did you learn, Morgana? Was it just trial and error? Was it looking on YouTube for videos on how to set these things up? How did you learn?
It was mostly error, trial with mostly error. But because I had been doing it for 30 years, and I had lots of different websites, and they all tend to follow, they're all sort of logical, even though I'm not a logical person. They have some flow. It's like, I always say it's like flat pack furniture. And once you're over the initial hurdle of looking at all the bits on the floor and think there's 200 pieces, and you say a few rude words and you panic, once you actually start and there's an ABC guide, it's actually quite easy to do. And if you've ever put together an IKEA kitchen, for example, you do the first cupboard, it might take you ages and there's a lot of swearing. But by the time you get to the second, you just know what to do. And it's so easy. And I think it's just a progression. If you're used to doing something similar, you'll know how to do it. It will come intuitively.
So that first book that you put up might take a while, but after it, you know, you get your pace increases.
Absolutely, it does. And you get more confidence. I think with authors, because we're creative, we tend to freeze and panic. And if we can just sort of do it and not be afraid to make a mistake and just do it. Shopify, for example, gives you a free trial so you can have a go and try to get things and see. But once you've spent some time on it, it does become sort of quite clear what to do.
I remember how we felt when we first put up our first book on Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, that was such a huge learning curve, or even formatting a book, you know, and now we do it as a matter of course, don't we?
Would you, do you know if any authors do it together? Like, is that an option too? Like 2 authors doing a shop of their own, or is it just mainly, do you think it's a solo thing with regards to the money and everything like that? Can you do it with more than one author?
You could. I haven't heard of anyone doing it. But basically, you can do whatever you like.
Yeah.
You could have a team. You could have 5 authors, and you could sell whatever you like. You could sell ebooks, audio, print, which of course we think, but a lot of people also sell merch related to books. But then you could also go into products. Like I know some authors that say, okay, I have a side hustle. I'm selling these other things, but not in this ordered fashion. I can bring this into my store as well. So it depends on your genre. Like cozy mysteries, I could sell pet products as well if I wanted. Pet beds, and it just depends.
So I've got a question about your customers. Generalizing. Cozy mystery authors tend to be a little older, probably similar to romance readers, maybe even slightly shifting older, sort of 45 plus. How and again generalizing, the kind of, we're used to, and I'm in the age group, we're used to buying, you know, handing our money over at the counter kind of thing, and the bricks and mortar, and then okay, we've gone on to ebooks. Is there another step up to trusting somebody else's website to make that purchase, or do you find people don't have any issues?
And that's funny mentioning cash. I'd forgotten the good old days of
Oh, really?
we last said cash. It's funny, isn't it?
I know.
No, people don't really care less because they're so used to buying online. Now, cozy readers, like I've been running Facebook ads for centuries, and there are women over 65. But did you know, last I looked, I think it was 92% of my customers are on mobile devices. So you tend to think, I know the public in our culture tends to think of someone over 65 as a doddering old person on their last legs, which is very rude.
Very rude.
Actually rude. But no, they're on their mobile devices rather than on their computers. And that's why you also have to have your site optimized for mobile. And they're very receptive to SMS marketing. So I think the age demographic probably isn't so correct these days. I think probably 65 is the new 35.
And remembering, of course, we were the ones, and I'm not 65, but I'm over 55. We were the ones that saw in the computing era. Like we had coding when I was at school and high school in the 80s. So, you know, it's not like we were sort of still, you know, lighting the gas lamps, which I think, you know, my kids probably think we were, but it's like, dude, I remember going on to dial up at 2:00 in the morning when I was feeding you when you were a baby, you know, it's like, so
exactly.
Sure. Any other questions there, Cher?
No, I mean, I've got lots, but I think mine are a little bit more involved. So I'm quite happy if you guys, did you have any other questions, Judy?
I have one in terms of just managing the workflow around your actual writing itself? Like how much, once you've got it set up, I understand that there's a lot to the setup, and there must be, I guess, you would have advice on that side of it. But from once it's set up, how does it impact your actual working life structure in terms of how much time you have to give it?
Once it's set up, it doesn't really impact it at all, but you'd probably find yourself spending more time on your shop than on the retailers. And it is, I think, I find it a lot of fun. I don't know if everyone would think that way, but like I jump out of bed, I think, oh, get me to my shop, what can I do? I'm so excited. But because you have so much information that you don't have on the retailers.
Yeah.
You know, all about your customers. You get paid immediately. You can send out email campaigns to someone in a specific country that hasn't purchased a book from you in a particular series in 3 months. That's what you can do. So I find that very exciting.
And you could send out epilogues and things like that just to sort of juice them up before maybe the next in the series. Like there's all kinds of things you could do.
And on the other side of it is, if you are, there's no way you think you could ever do this. If someone was listening to this, is there someone who can set it up for you and run it for you? Is that an option for as well?
It's probably not a good idea. It's best if someone does it themselves, because they will have to do something to it later on. And every time they do a new book, they'll have to add it. Shopify does make it fairly straightforward once you know how. But once you know how, you'll be right. It's learning how to do it. It's a learning curve. But like Cheryl said, I remember I had my books on Create Space from the time Amazon bought them. I think I even had them on, I can't remember what it was called. I think it was Book Surgical. No, it wasn't. Anyway, I had them with Create Space right back in the early days. And then when Kindle came out, I was afraid. I thought, oh gosh, I can't possibly get my books on Kindle. I was terrified of it. And then I watched the Kindle KDP video and I thought, okay, I'll have a go. But I did not put my books on Kindle for months when it first came out, because it seemed so scary. And then Smashwords, that was the aggregator at the time. I had them on Kindle and then I thought, oh, that seems so scary. I'll never figure this out. And I think we're all like that with something new.
So true. It's so
Definitely.
true.
They do actually have on Shopify the ability to pay somebody to set it up.
Shopify experts.
But I think Morgana's probably right, because you are going to have a lot of hands-on dealings with it as time goes by. Every time you want to load a new book, and you're not necessarily going to want to pay somebody to do that for you.
No.
So,
So how long did it take you to remember the first time you go in to set everything up? Is this something that you need to have a few weeks set aside? You know, I mean, not doing it non-stop for weeks, but is it something that's better to do 2 full days doing nothing else, get it all done? Or is it something you could do for a little bit over a few weeks? Does it matter?
Yes, it does matter. Yes, you're best to try to clear your writing, which I know is impossible, but people really do need to clear their writing, organise their writing so they've got a clear week. And then that will give them a lot of time to upload it as well. It depends on someone's backlist. So if they've got 50 books, it's going to take them a very long time. If they upload ebook, print, large print, audio, that is going to be very time consuming. But to learn the ropes, they should set aside some time and then they can just hook into it. Because if someone does something a bit here and a bit there, they'll forget. So if they've done a little bit and then they have to go and write a few chapters and then do some overwriting or some editing, then they come back, they'll think, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, that's me anyway. So you need blocks of time.
Definitely me.
That makes a lot of sense. And so how much, like, and so you've got the shop set up and it's all running, all happy. How much ongoing maintenance, like if should I set aside an hour? Like, it sounds like you're going in every day, but I don't know if you're going in for other reasons, just to go and see how much you've sold, or whether you're going in because there's an ongoing maintenance thing that you have to be doing. Like, what's?
No more than the retailers. Once it's set up, unless you find like a shiny new toy app that you want to try out or something like that, but you can just set it up and then it's hands off. But of course, you need to look at your analytics, your figures, to see what's happening here and there, because you get amazing analytics. Like, it'll tell you how many people looked at your Facebook shop, your free Facebook shop. It will tell you the dollar value of what you've sold. Someone asked me a few months ago, how much did you make on Facebook this week? And I said, I don't think I made anything. And I went back and it was like $370. And I just, because it's all hands off, I assumed, I had a blonde moment and assumed I hadn't made anything. But when I looked at my figures, and I was shocked. And that's nothing. All I had to do, by the way, Facebook and Google, you can also have free Google. I don't think I mentioned that integration. They'll do a free Google shop for you as well. They won't accept ebooks or digital. You can slip some through if they sort of have a bit of an error, but if you bundle it with a print book, you can get a digital through. But I do seem to sell a lot of print on Facebook for some reason, which is good.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. And so it's interesting the different places that it sells and how it all works, isn't it? Like the integration with other stuff. There's a lot more integration out there than you kind of realize when you're first kind of getting into it. What I'm curious about now is how long did it take for you to sort of, the shop, when you first put it up, for it to kind of ramp up and for it to be selling at numbers that you're happy with? And then on from that, like, is there if I'm an author setting up my shop, is there a minimum kind of number that I should be aiming for, like, to make it all kind of make sense? Does that?
You mean a minimum number of books? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean like sales,
income.
like income wise. Like, what should we be aiming for as authors, like, to try and sell?
of traditional ones, of the other retailers, if you like. Is that what you mean?
Or something like that. Is there a guide like that, or is it just whatever?
Well, first of all, you want to be in profit for a start, and some apps cost, so that you've got the cost if you want that out. But I mean, obviously the apps pay for themselves or no one would get them. But it's hard too for authors because we're low price, high volume. And some apps charge per 200 transactions, which for us would be like $100, but for someone else would be thousands of dollars. And usually, I heard recently the average order is $50. Well, our average order would be $5. That doesn't help. So what I do, I bundle I've got a 16 book box set, and on the thank you page, thank you pages have 100% open rates because the customer is sitting there, they've bought something and it flashes up, thank you, blah, 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 100% open rates. So I put an upsell there and say with a 5-minute countdown, says, would you like this? And I offer them 20% off that giant box set. And it's surprising that people will actually buy that. And I've also got birthday, enter your email for your birthday, and on their birthday I'll send them a discount or something like that for their birthday. But you could send them anything you want. You could snail mail them a birthday card. Anyway, I forgot the original question.
No, that's good. I just want to, because those are all things that are happening that are just integrated into your system. You're not having to go somewhere and do something. It's just
it's such
there.
and such's birthday, I must send them something.
Like you're not having to look at the list every day. It's just all integrated into your system. It happens without you having to do a thing, which is amazing.
It's all automatic. Once it's set up, everything is automatic, and it's just so amazing. And you just, like I said with Facebook, I didn't know I'd made any money because I didn't see it happen. It's all going on behind my back. And with the retailers, you sort of tend to know where you're at.
Yeah.
So going back, actually, I think the question really was what percentage of sales over your entire income from all income streams is a good percentage that you would say would be a successful shop. Like, would it be 20% of your income comes from your shop, or would it be more than that? I guess, is it up to the individual?
I think it's best to separate your shop from the retailers and don't think of them in a connected way, or that will make the shop less successful because it's a complete mind shift. Selling direct is nothing like selling on the retailers. So first, aim to be in profit.
Yes.
a way to do that is your current newsletter list. Just tell them, don't tell them about your shop, because that typically doesn't produce many sales. But if you say, here's a 10% coupon and such a book, or I've got a new release, or whatever you think, or a box set's good because it's higher value, and tell your newsletter list. And then that is a good way to boost sales. And once they start buying from your shop, you'll be surprised how they'll keep going back. Or you could advertise directly to your shop if you're new. Just do traffic ads to get them in there, because you won't have anyone to retarget. Run traffic Facebook ads. Have all your, for free, integrate with all the socials, so you've got your shops out there for free. There's lots of things you can do for free and to get into profit. And I always say to people, do not use a credit card. Do not go into debt. Don't spend the money until you have it. Because if someone has money and it's going well, then they can invest in their business. But from profit, I always say never go into debt. Just use the money that you've got. And it isn't a get rich quick scheme. There are no shortcuts. It's hard work like any business, but it's basically short-term pain for long-term gain, because once it's set up, it's all automated, and literally the money just does come in. You don't have to do a lot.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, with your newsletters now that you're sending out to your existing list, when you're putting book links on there, are you doing all the retailers plus your shop? Are you focusing solely on your shop?
Only on my shop. And in my book back matter, I only send the next book, if say book 2 in a series, I'll send them to book 3 in my shop. But on my product page, I do have a books to read link to all the retailers. So if someone is super keen to buy from a retailer, they can do that.
Right. Gotcha.
But yeah, everything is to my shop. Although, having said that, I still do run ads to the retailers, because my back matter is all to my shop, and I've got a reading order link to my shop. So the retailers, instead of them using us, I like to think I can use them.
I like that. Your books are like little billboards then, aren't they? Little billboards walking around out there through other retailers for your shop.
That's exactly right. Use them as a funnel into your shop. That's exactly right.
Oh, I like that reversal
Do
of
you-
power.
Do you think you could say that the shop works better if you've got a large number of warm readers, like for returning readers, rather than someone trying your books for the first time? Do you think, or is that not a big deal and it's just whoever finds it?
Yeah, well, it is going to be easier if you have a big newsletter list already. So that's going to be much easier. It's much easier for an established author. If you can make money on the retailers, you can make money from the store. There's no question. It's like really a given. But for someone starting out, they can do it as well if they learn all about it and just sort of don't go in without learning. Like do their research and then start a store and doing everything right, and that will definitely work as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very cool. I think there'll be a lot of people that are.
Yeah.
I know my brain's whirring here at the moment. It's just like you say, I think the fundamental thing to do first, it's the mindset. I think you've got to have a different mindset, isn't it?
I hadn't really realised that, actually, that would be something you'd have to rethink that, but it's awesome. Yeah.
You're not trying to replicate Amazon Mini on your own site. It's a whole different way of thinking about it.
That's exactly right. And that's what I always tell people. And sometimes I have trouble trying to explain it. And they say, well, why is it a different mindset? But it is. It's selling on the retailer, selling on Amazon, like typically with newsletter lists. We're just used to email marketing, not SMS. We will typically have a lead magnet in the back or the front of the book. You don't do that with a shop. You have an offer. So it's offers for shops, lead magnets for retailers. And then people tend to think of shops through the lens of a retailer, like what will happen on the retailer if I do this? Whereas it's best not to think of things in the context of retailers. It's a whole new context. It's a whole new thing. I really think it is the wave of the future, because when we started selling on the retailers, so how long ago was that? I can't do that. It's like 15-ish years ago. But now I think it's turning. Before that, everyone was selling direct, and I think there's a big swing back. Like, as I said, I have nothing against Amazon. They've really been good to me. But so many people have had problems like account closure, and people who've had book bubs have had their book suppressed for a week while Amazon checked to see if they had the copyright to their covers. You know, the list goes on and on. And when you have a store, you've at least got that security. If nothing else, you've got security.
Yeah.
For sure. Makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of information. It's
Yeah.
quite
When's
exciting,
your-
I think.
When's your book coming out on this one, Morgana?
It was out on the 2nd of August.
Excellent.
Awesome. So we're all going to buy that now.
through her shop.
Oh, clearly.
And then after that, we're looking at a teachable course.
Yes, it's a teachable course at the end of September for Shopify, authors selling on Shopify. And it's a huge course, very hand-holding, very detailed, to beginner to advanced. It's so comprehensive.
Wow.
It's a big
Awesome.
undertaking making that.
Yes. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Are we finished?
I
Have we
think
all
so.
I think it was
Yeah.
pretty informative.
Morgana dry?
Yeah.
How about you
Yeah.
give us your shop address?
Yes, it's morganabest.com. So my name.com. Morgana.
Easy as that.
Yep,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely going to go and have a look.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to go there and check
Yeah,
out her shop
yeah.
and see whether that's something that is going to work for you. It looks beautiful, your
It does.
website, I have to say. It's not, yeah, I was in love with it when I was there. So everyone should go there. Okay, well, I
Very
think that's
cool.
us for another
Yeah.
episode of the Spa Girls podcast. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for
Morgana.
joining us.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And check us. And we don't have a shop, but come along to spargirlspodcast.com for all our previous episodes and our links to all kinds of social media that we're on. And thank you again to our Patreon supporters and on patreon.com/spargirlspodcast.
Awesome.
We need to get ourselves some merch, just so on the
Yeah,
list.
We have merch that we use for ourselves, but we need
Yes,
to
we
figure out
do.
how to
yeah.
get it out there
And
to the
it's the
world.
mindset, because
Yeah.
you're sort of thinking,
Mhm.
I don't want to be sending off mugs, but if we can get
Yeah.
organized, sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much, Morgana. That
Yeah,
was
awesome.
awesome.
Very cool.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you all for listening to another episode of the Spa Girls podcast. We will be back again next week, but for now, farewell.
Well,
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.